Welcome back to Headlines. I'm Wes Austin, and these are today's top stories. First, Jimmy Kimmel doesn't believe the reports that say Stephen Colbert's show lost $40 million a year. Well, Jimmy, keep critiquing those late-night finances. You're going to need the practice when you get your severance package. Then, a Virginia school suspended 2 boys for asking why a girl was in their locker room. Yeah, you heard me right. So apparently, in this school district, the only thing worse than a girl in the boys' locker room is boys noticing a girl in the boys' locker room. Next, Chris Pratt blasted people who hate President Trump so much they won't admit when he does something good. We've got the video clip. At this point, some Democrats would rather die of food poisoning than support RFK Jr., which honestly might be the first cost-saving measure they've ever supported. And finally, Illinois passed a law giving financial aid to illegal immigrants because in Illinois, the fastest way to qualify for benefits is to prove you don't belong there. And then we go to the comment section. First, we have a few fun comments to look at. And then on the segment that we did about PETA objecting to the cow's nose ring in this Nintendo game that was so stupid. Anyway, somebody asked the question or commented on PETA and their support for Peanut the squirrel. If you guys remember Peanut the squirrel, who was euthanized, I think it was by the state of New York. So you'll be taking a look at that. Okay, let's dive in. Jimmy Kimmel says there's no way Stephen Colbert's Late Show was losing CBS $40 million a year. Kimmel defending Colbert is like one sinking ship telling another, "Don't worry, it's just a little water." In an interview with Variety, Kimmel said this, "I just want to say that the idea that Stephen Colbert's show was losing $40 million a year is beyond nonsensical. There's just not a snowball's chance in hell that that's anywhere near accurate." Well, if anyone is an expert on losing money for a network, it's Jimmy Kimmel. Then, Kimmel said that late-night TV is far from dead. He said, "Network television is declining, there's no question about that, but more people are watching late-night television than ever before, and I include Johnny Carson in that." I think Jimmy just compared himself to Johnny Carson. Johnny Carson created late-night TV. Jimmy Kimmel is the reason why people watch Netflix. Well, folks, Jimmy Kimmel, soon to be available for bar mitzvahs, corporate events, and reminiscing about when he used to be on television. A school in Virginia has suspended 2 high school boys after they wondered why there was a girl in their locker room. Virginia schools are teaching kids an important life lesson. Keep your mouth shut while your privacy is being violated. The female student, who identifies as male, allegedly entered the boys' locker room on multiple occasions and recorded video to capture the reaction of the male students. So after that, the district decided to suspend the 2 boys. Not only that, they're being disciplined for sexual harassment and sex-based discrimination. The logic here is so backwards. I'm surprised they didn't give the girl a photography award while they were at it. The boys' punishment includes a 10-day suspension and mandatory meetings with administrators to develop a corrective action plan. The corrective action plan is going to correct the boys' ability to see or their ability to recognize a girl, or both. Sure, test scores are down, but at least the school is producing future content creators for OnlyFans. Actor Chris Pratt was on the Club Random podcast when he criticized those who hate President Trump so much that they won't recognize his administration's achievements. Pratt shared that he spends time with HHS Secretary RFK Jr. and supports a large portion of his agenda, calling out people who condemn RFK Jr. solely because of President Trump.
There's certain things that he oversees that seem to be supported in a bipartisan way, like getting terrible toxic stuff out of our kids' food. I think that's a great thing. And I'd hate to be so mired in hatred for the president that any success from his administration is something I'd have an allergic reaction to. To be like, oh, well, if they do it, I don't want it to happen. I'll put Clorox in my children's cereal myself.
Pratt's out here saying, maybe we shouldn't poison children regardless of politics. And most progressives are like, hold my organic kale smoothie while I disagree. Some folks are so Trump deranged they'd oppose clean food just to own the conservatives, because nothing says resistance like your toddler eating red dye number 40 for democracy. Illinois just enacted a new law that gives college financial aid to undocumented immigrants. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker signed the new law, which allows all Illinois residents to apply for state-funded financial aid, even if they're not U.S. citizens. Pritzker says that no student should be left behind, especially those in Honduras. The law is being criticized by Republican Representative Mary Miller, who calls it a slap in the face to Illinois families and students. That's not entirely accurate. I mean, a slap in the face is free. This is more like a very expensive facial massage that consists of you getting backhanded while having a colonoscopy. Pritzker is rumored to be up for president, so this law makes sense. Because if you want to win the Democratic primary, you have to prove you care more about foreign citizens than American ones. And now on to the comment section. First, my stomach made a noise yesterday and everyone heard it. There were so many comments from people saying, yeah, I heard your stomach. I thought we'd look at just a couple of them, but yeah, it must have been really loud. So this is from Linda Kilmer, 2548. Wes, your stomach sounds like a scene from Alien. Okay. Yeah, and my mic is way up here. You guys, I wasn't even mic'd by my stomach. Okay. And this is from Pam Accord G7S. Yes, I heard your stomach, but wasn't for sure at first, or if it was a Joe Biden moment. Pam, it definitely was my stomach. Come on. It was my stomach. I promise you. I promise you. Okay, now on to the segment about MSNBC changing their name to MS Now. So we had, let's look at this kind of funny comment from Janet3467. BS Now would be far more accurate. And I like that because I was trying to think up all different kinds of acronyms and I didn't actually think of BS Now until I saw that. So, and that would be perfect. Did you guys see that Rachel Maddow was like, oh, I think this is going to be wonderful. Okay. I think Scarborough was also talking about how great it was going to be. Anyway, okay, so on the segment about PETA, where they were objecting to the nose ring in this cow's nose on a Nintendo game, I think it was Mario Kart World. Crazy, crazy. This is the more substantive comment. This is from, let's see, Carol Gillespie, 1724. Where was PETA when Peanut the squirrel and his raccoon buddy were murdered? So if you guys remember this story, I think this was in New York, I think, where the state went and this guy had some pets. And I think Peanut the squirrel had a huge TikTok following, just really popular. They went in and they ended up euthanizing both of them. So I thought we'd look into whether PETA actually had said anything about it. And from what I could find, PETA initially didn't say anything, and then I think they were called out by a podcast that had hundreds of thousands of views, and then I think they came out and made a statement. So this is from the Dallas Express, exclusive. PETA calls out Peanut's killers, but I'll read the part where they said they basically had to be, called out by somebody before they would say something about it. So People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, PETA, issued a statement on the killing of the social media squirrel superstar Peanut. In a perfect world, Peanut and Fred, I think Fred was the raccoon who wasn't quite as famous, Fred would have been brought to a licensed rehabber and released back into their natural habitat. But PETA laments that after being a part of a family since infancy, Peanut and Fred's lives were taken from them. Katie Cryer, PETA's media relations manager, told the Dallas Express. Okay, now here's the part that kind of shows you that they didn't initially say anything. This statement comes after the organization had initially received criticism for perceived inaction on the matter. The PPD podcast produced a video that had been viewed almost 400,000 times on YouTube with the title, Justice for Peanut, PETA silent as Peanut the squirrel is euthanized. by crazed New York officials. So I didn't see what the dates were like on like when he was euthanized, or she. Is Peanut a man squirrel or a woman squirrel? I don't know. But I didn't see the dates on how long it took PETA to say something and when they were called out. But anyway, it looks like they finally did say something, but only after they were called out for it. Thanks for watching Headlines. And if you know anyone out there who might enjoy my video clips, please send them a link. I would really appreciate it. I'm Wes Austin. Good night.